Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be learning how we could add some more widgets to our application. Now in the previous tutorial we have already learned how you could add a button, and we have already learned how you could set up the layout of the button and also how we could change the background color of the button as well as the background color of the layout. Now in this tutorial what we are going to do is that we are going to add one more widget to our layout, and that widget is going to be the edit text widget, which allows the user to edit some text onto our application. So in order to do that, the first thing which we need to do is that we need to import the edit text. So in order to do so, we go here and we type import android dot widget. As it is widget, it is present in the widget package, so we type android dot widget dot edit text, and it is going to import the edit text for us. Now let's go ahead and create the object for edit text in a similar fashion in which we have created the object of the button right over here. So in the same fashion we go ahead and create the object for edit text. So we type edit text, and let's say we name the edit text as, let's say we want to accept the username, so we type edit text username equals new edit text, and in the parameters we are going to specify this. Now once this is done, the next thing which we do is we set IDs to the edit text as well as the button. Now what happens is that whenever you want to use some of these widgets for further application, we need certain IDs so that we could call them or reference them by using these IDs. So it is important that you set IDs to the button as well as the text. So we go ahead and create IDs for each of them. So let's go ahead and create the ID for the button first. So we type my button, and then in order to set some ID for it, we type dot set ID, and this set ID method is going to set the ID up for us. So for example, let's say we set this ID to, let's say, 1, and in case of the username we set the ID to 2. So we type the name, which is username, and then we type dot set ID, and let's name this ID as 2. So what happens is that whenever we want to reference to this button, or when we want to reference to this username, we could simply specify this ID right here so that we could get back to them. Now once this is done, the next thing which we do is we want to make sure that the username has a proper layout. So in order to give the layout to the username, what we do is that we simply go ahead up here and we copy this line of codes which is present here, which is used in order to set the layout for buttons. So we simply copy it, and as we are going to use the same method for setting up the layout, we just paste it and then we replace this button details by username. So let's say the user details are the details for the username, so we type username details. Now once we are done with this, the next thing which we want to do is that we want to specify a particular position to this. So in order to do that, we type username details dot add rule in order to add a certain set of rule. Now we type relative layout, as this is a relative layout. Then as we want to place this above the button, so we type dot above, and make sure that you have a capital. So we type dot above. Now once we are done with this, the next thing which we do is we specify the next parameter, and that parameter is going to be the button. So we type my button dot get ID, which is going to get the ID. Now once this is done, what we want to do is that we want to align this username in the center. So in order to do that, we type username details dot add rule, and inside the rule we want to specify the relative layout. So we type relative layout, and now as we want to place it in center, we type dot center horizontal, and that is going to align this in the center horizontally. Now once this is done, the next thing which we want to make sure that it has some specific set of margins. So what happens is that as we have placed this text right above the button, so basically there wouldn't be any gap in between these two. So we want to make sure that we add up some margin to it. Now in order to add margin to this, we type the text name, which is username details, and then we use the set margin method in order to set the margin. So we type dot set margins. So as you could see right here, the set margin methods, the parameter it is going to accept is going to be the left, top, right and bottom. So in the first parameter you are going to specify the margin which is to be left to the left side, then we have the margin which we want to leave on the top, then we have the margin to the right, and finally we have the margin to the bottom. So as in this case, as we only want to specify the margin to the bottom, so what we do is that in the set margin methods, the first three parameters are going to be 0, and let's say the third parameter which we want to use is 50. So basically in the bottommost parameter we want to specify the margin of 50 pixels, so we add 50 to the end of it. Now once this is done, the next thing which we want to do is that we want to add the username onto the layout. So we type my layout, which is our layout name. Then we use the method add view in order to add this username onto the layout. So we type dot add view username, and the details of the username are username details. Now once this is done, we have successfully added this onto the layout. Now in order to check if our application performs correctly, we save the code and we run it on the emulator. So as you could see, our application is up and running, and we have the button right here, and we also have the text box over here, and we could enter any text onto this text box. So if you want to enter text, we simply click on it, and when we click on it, as you could see that the keyboard pops up and we could type any text onto this. So basically we have created the text box successfully, and what happens is that as you could see, the size of the text box is very small. So in the next tutorial what we'll be doing is that we are going to learn how you could resize this text box by using DIP, which is called as the density independent pixels. So basically as you could see that we have the text box, we have the button, and we also have the margin of 50 pixels right in between them, and that is because we have used the set margins method in order to set the margins between them. So in the next tutorial we'll be learning how we could increase the size of this text box by using density independent pixels. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you.